that was a great shot to start on, Justin. Welcome, everyone, to this very obviously exciting episode of This Week in Science. This is our live podcast broadcast of our weekly science news discussion curiosity talk show. And as you know, stuff like that yawn and other things may be edited out by Rachel, but Rachel's the editor, so it's kind of up to Rachel what she takes out and what she doesn't. So who knows? Who knows?
To be fair, that countdown music that we have at the beginning of the show it just happens to be the same thing I play when trying to get to sleep at night, and so it's just
my family listens. The boys in my house like to listen to this chill hop station, and there's one particular chill hop song that is also a wake up alarm for the iPhone, I believe, or for Apple or whatever. And one morning it was playing all over the house, or at least in the kitchen, through the Sonos system, and it kept playing the same little thing over and over and over again.
Everybody stays asleep.
And now every time I hear the song, it's like I get angry. Chill hop is not supposed to make you angry. But
you had one job, chill hop alarm.
One job. But this is, interesting social psychology and the impact of music on our emotions and our mental health. So many great questions about that out there. I don't know. I don't think we're talking about that today, but we have all sorts of stories that we're going to be bringing up for the show tonight. Remember, right now is the time to click the likes, the notifications, and tell everybody else to start watching or listening, because we are starting live as long as everybody's happy with the audio.
Are we good?
C'est-tu bon?
Ouais.
C'est du bon?
Everything.
Oui.
Erico.
What? Ah.
Everything.
J'ai fou? No, I don't know the words. Not so chill, not so chill. So let us begin. Again. Some scratchiness in the audio. I don't know if that's... You sound good to me. Do I sound okay to you?
Same. I wonder if they can hear the bakery downstairs.
Could be the bakery downstairs. I don't know.
It gets a little scratchy in the morning.
Hey, Rachel, you're going to do some post-processing. Uh-oh. Unless it gets worse. It could be StreamYard, because that is also the thing. We're on the internets. Anywho, yes. We're just going to roll with it.
You're listening to the solar flare.
It could be. I seriously was worried about Eurovision getting canceled or taken off of the interwebs because of a power outage. The same kind of solar flare that hit 30 years ago, like it took out the power grid in Sweden. And Malmo, Sweden was hosting Eurovision this year. I was waiting Saturday for Eurovision to not make it to America.
Concerns that you could have for a solar flare. It must just not be that dangerous, because if Eurovision is the top of that list of things to worry about.
But what it does tell me is that Sweden learned their lesson about infrastructure. They hardened it. And not every other country has. Or as we'd say in the United States, every state is a little different. Oh, the grid. The grid is up. We are starting this show in 3, 2. This is TWIS. This Week in Science, episode number 970, recorded on Wednesday. Yes, it's recorded on Wednesday, May 15th, 2024. Solar flares make all the people look up. You could say that title to like the beat of a particular song. But anyway, I'm Dr. Kiki, and today we will fill your head with space, beetle battles, and orca strikes. But first...
Disclaimer. The following hour of programming is not going to sell you a product. There is no supplement we recommend you buy, no wonder beverage, broth, or pill. Nothing to put on your skin, in your hair, or under your armpits. No glowing reviews of new gadgets, gizmos, or apps. The style you have now is better than anything we could recommend for you. You will not save time, get more done, grow a bigger brain, feel better, live longer, or have a more satisfying love life by buying anything from us. Just spending time thinking and learning along with us. We'll do all of that and more for free. Because nothing improves the human condition more dramatically than thinking and learning new things. And the only thing guaranteed to deliver out of this world results with nearly zero adverse side effects is This Week in Science, coming up next.
I've got the kind of mind that can't get enough. I wanna learn everything. I wanna fill it all up with new discoveries that happen every day of the week. There's only one place to go to find the knowledge I seek. I wanna know what's happening. What's happening? What's happening this week in science? What's happening? What's happening? What's happening this week in science?
Science to you, Kiki.
And a good science to you too, Justin, and everyone else out there. Welcome to another episode of This Week in Science. We are back again on a Wednesday night to talk about science and all the things that we thought were interesting to discuss with you. Yeah. I kind of saw auroras. I forgot to look up on Friday night because I was watching the recording of the second semifinals for Eurovision. So I messed up there. But apparently we had really great auroras down in Oregon, all the way down to California. Incredible, like class 4, class 5 maxed out, I think. Solar flare leading to incredible electron storms across the magnetosphere and our atmosphere. Just amazing this past weekend. I did get to see, but one of the things that was interesting is a lot of people were like, I went out. I don't think I mean, it was just glow, it was whatever. But then they used their phones. Long exposure. And the phone chips, the CCDs, were able to capture the pictures of the auroras better than our eyes. So, kind of neat, kind of interesting. You know, our eyes aren't that great when it comes down to it. Our brains are awesome, but we don't do long exposures as well as a timer on a lens on a chip on a camera.
Be kind of unhelpful with regular human vision to have that.
Yeah, but these solar storms, they keep going, and there's some interesting stuff out there. It is the height of solar storm season. So I have some stories about some.
But is it just
flares.
hitting that side of the planet? Like, I haven't seen anything. I haven't noticed anything.
Really? In Denmark?
Yeah.
Have you been outside? It hasn't been dark.
Oh, no, I haven't been outside. That's probably why.
Being outside after dark during
we're far north, but we're also, I feel like it's hitting because of the tilt of the planet or something weird, like, and it does stay light a bit later here, but that's, you would think it would just be all Aurora Borealis all the time. I didn't notice anything.
Not all the time, but, you know, after dark,
like right now,
in the northern hemisphere.
If they're seeing stuff in L.A., you know, like, you would think everybody would be in on that, but I didn't notice.
All of them all over the place. Yeah. Tonight on the show, I have stories about some other flares, some dirty dirt, weaponized beetles, and shark food, and of course, as usual, thoughts about brains and possibly the internet. What do you have, Justin?
I've got wrong way astronomy, hotter than Jesus, orcas uberalis, and you think you got it rough, try cave bear hunting in the Stone Age.
Oh, yeah. Nope. I really prefer trying to just, you know,
It's
watch
kids today
Eurovision over
back.
a VPN. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kids today all the way back. But, really, you're comparing yourself to people who did cave bear hunting with wooden spears. Like, yeah.
They're just like us.
Might be better to be kids today.
You know those like People magazine celebrities? They're just like us. We should have magazines now. It's like early humans. They're just like us.
Except way rougher.
Except way cool. Way.
It's so good to be kids today.
Yeah, much better to be kids these days. Yeah. As we jump into the show, for all you entitled kids out there, just know how good you've got it. We are going to remind you, I want to remind you right now that our show broadcasts live every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Pacific time on Twitch, Facebook, and YouTube. And you can find us by looking for This Week in Science TWIS or TWIS Science all over the place. A few variations out there. If you go to twis.org, that's our website where you can find show notes, links to stories, other stuff that's going on. But, that's pretty much it, right? Now it's time for the science. All right, so I brought up the start of the show with the solar flares because the top story that I want to start with tonight has to do kind of with flares in a way, but not from a star, from our galaxy.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, just published in the Astrophysical Journal this last week, researchers have reported their discovery of huge, and this is from the title of the paper, huge magnetic toroids in the Milky Way halo.
Toroids,
Toroids, I say.
Oh, my goodness. I'm going on as far as I can without admitting that I have no idea what a toroid is. And I'll just say that's quite impressive to have huge toroids in your halo. Galactic halo.
It's an asymmetric geometric distribution of a magnetic field above and below the galactic plane. So there are reversals in the direction. So similarly to how we watch the eruptions from the surface of the sun, that those eruptions are often brought about by magnetic fields that come out and have these reversals, and in the way that they erupt, they often cause a redistribution, and I guess it sends solar flares, so energy from the sun out faster, pulsars, not pulsars, but anyway.
So the wobbliness within the magnetic field is what allows the solar flares to escape, kind of a thing?
Yeah. And so there's the wobbliness. It's kind of like the magnetic field in our planet. We like to think that it's just like a magnet, and we have our north and south pole, and it comes out the north, and then the magnetic field goes around, and it goes back in the south, and it's just perfect. But we've come to realize that there are these weird little outbursts from places around the planet where the magnetic field is differently distributed. And so that it's similar to, because the iron core in the center of our planet is the source of that magnetic field, the dynamo for the magnetism that keeps it going. The sun doesn't have that iron core, but it has a whole bunch of stuff very tightly packed that are moving around, and it is the source. The energy is the source of that magnetic field, and it's not evenly distributed. It's kind of like hard to predict, right? So these researchers were looking at our own galaxy, and in the distribution of of materials within the galaxy. They were looking using the 500-meter aperture spherical radio telescope, and they looked at a bunch of pulsars. They were looking at the rotational magnetism of 634 pulsars at a bunch of different latitudes. Basically, it's hard for us to see along the galactic plane, so we have to look kind of off of it based on where we are located. And so they're looking at these Faraday rotation measures and getting an idea of what's going on, where, when, how. And in what they were looking at, they determined that there are some very interesting shapes that are coming from the galaxy, that there is magnetic energy kind of similar to the kind of thing that leads to the solar flares from our own sun, but from our galaxy. So I'm just thinking about, we talk about the solar cycle and the solar flare, and it comes and it goes, and blah, blah. We know nothing about like the galaxy cycle. Is there? And is there a change over a long period of time related to surges in magnetic activity from pulsars and other bodies within the galaxy related to the black hole at the center of the galaxy? All sorts of great things. But I think this is a very, just related to what we just experienced in the Northern Hemisphere. This is a very exciting, interesting discovery for our galaxy, and we can relate to it a little bit better. I don't know, how many satellites did our galaxy mess up recently? Who knows? With these toroidal magnetic fields. I don't know, but I like thinking about things at small scales and big scales, and I think it's an interesting, interesting comparison to try and kind of put these, put these things into perspective.
Yeah, it's a scale that I can't comprehend. It's 100,000 light years across our galaxy. It's a little bit bigger than I can hold in my head and be like, oh.
Yeah, so solar flares, they tossed a whole bunch of energetic particles from the sun. Oh, that's fun. Sweden didn't lose its electrical grid. That's great.
Field.
Yeah.
I wonder how that works.
Mm-hmm. There are some devices nowadays for smart houses where you can plug into the power lines that come into your house, so like kind of at the breaker box in your house, to measure the energy that is coming in and how much different circuits in your house are using at certain times of the day, so you can kind of manage your energy usage better. And we were looking at our energy usage, and it was really fascinating to watch during the solar storm compared to the days before when there had not been as much solar activity. And when the solar storm hit, there was a lot of it shifted a lot. There was a lot of variability.
You were picking it up. You were recording it, basically. That's amazing.
Through our breaker box.
Cool.
Yeah. Our power did not go out, though, and we were able to watch Eurovision, and that made me happy. So
it made everything okay.
It made everything okay. I don't know. I mean, baby lasagna didn't win, but I'm all right with Switzerland. Do you want to talk about space things?
I don't know what the words you just said were before. Yes. So in a story that is completely upending what I thought I knew about how things work in space, and continuing along, the galactic halo. Team of MIT.
Oh yeah, I have one more picture, so I'm gonna do one more picture of this galactic halo because I forgot to show this one. So while you say, you can go on, but I'm gonna share this really cool picture here.
Now I want to see the picture. Okay.
Yeah.
So there's the galactic halo. So you got the galaxy is there. There's a whole spinning galaxy in the middle, and the halo is like this fuzzy blob of like sort of outskirts, outer edges, if you were, of the galaxy, of our Milky Way galaxy. Okay. So I think I got this picture of this 100,000 light year across thing in my head pretty good. And then a team of MIT researchers, including several undergraduate students, uncovered 3 of the oldest stars in the universe, stars that formed between 12 to 13 billion years ago. In the far-flung, distant, faraway, not in the distant, faraway parts of our universe, mind you, but these stars they found are right there in that Milky Way's halo.
Wait, what?
Exactly.
Okay, so like our universe, we're like looking at like 14 billion years, 14 and a half. I mean, and then if you
depending on who you ask.
Yeah, and if you account for extrapolation of space-time moving apart and all that expansion, then maybe 25 billion years. But what in our our galaxy isn't supposed to be that old?
Yeah, the oldest stars that we see are usually in this range. And they're always like, oh, well, you're looking at a galaxy that formed 12 billion years ago, or a star that's, it's billions of years old out there in the faint, distant regions of the universe. Super, super far away and long.
Toward the beginning
long time ago.
of time.
Yeah. So these stars are here now. On the halo of our Milky Way. So, what?
They're
Why?
They're nomads. They've been traveling.
Yeah, so these are dubbed SAS stars for small accreted stellar system stars. These ancient celestial bodies were once part of their own primitive galaxies before being captured by our own Milky Way as our Milky Way grew up. So today, these are remaining as sort of the sole survivors of that original galaxy, circling the outskirts of our current Milky Way.
Yeah.
At super fast speeds. Amazingly, this discovery took place in a classroom. They were analyzing data that was collected over years from the Magellan Clay Telescope.
Oh, fun.
The assignment was sort of an exercise for how to search for ancient stars. So, this is the ones that we are normally talking about, really ancient galaxies and what have you. Maybe almost too far away to do this analysis. But you can do this on stars that you can get maybe a better view of. And so what you do is you look for particular features in the stellar spectrum corresponding to specific wavelengths of light that correspond to particular abundance of specific elements. And in the early universe, it was mostly hydrogen and helium. There was very low abundance of other elements like strontium and barium. A lot of the heavy metals aren't going to be seen in the stars. So using these techniques in the class that they learned in the classroom, the students were combing through the star data of Magellan Clay and eventually pinpointed 3 stars that hadn't been studied before but had super low elemental abundances that hinted at, that fit with at least, an ancient origin, like early days of the universe. So they go, okay,
because you wouldn't expect them to have certain elements because of the age and maybe the size.
So they go, oh, okay, well, this mystery is pretty big, but the mystery didn't end there because these ancient stars don't fit with the rest of the galaxy. That we're in. It's a classroom full of investigative scientists decided, oh, hey, why don't we just not leave the mystery? Why don't we figure out why this doesn't make sense? I did some more digging.
Wonderful.
Discovered that there was something else about the stars that didn't make sense. They were going against the galactic flow.
What?
They were doing what is called the retrograde motion, where a star or planet is moving the wrong way around the orbital track. So like a solar system or even a galaxy kind of forms this spinning hub. And so when they see something that's going the other direction, the only place you would expect to see that is if
it was captured, and it's like one of these kids is doing its own thing. In this case, it's an old star.
Yeah, so this retrograde mystery combined with the ancient elemental makeup of the stars, mystery kind of actually helped pinpoint a solution to the mystery. The only place you would expect to see the spectral makeups is in a galaxy older than ours. And the only place you would expect to see stars that move in a direction against the flow of the rest of the galaxies is stars that move in the wrong direction is if they were part of a different galaxy. So most likely these stars are part of an ancient galaxy that got merged or absorbed or captured by our own at some point in our history. So they then even went further and looked at previously published research into Milky Way halo stars and looked through the composition of ones that had been studied that had low strontium and barium abundances. And they also discovered that those stars, 65 other stars that they found, were also going the wrong way. So,
there's
what
a lot.
That tell us?
It tells us that our galaxy ran into another galaxy, maybe, or there was a lot going on, and our little baby galaxy got stuck, or what does it tell us? What's the bottom line?
So it, part of it seems really weird. Like, I thought the really old stuff was far away, but why would all the old stuff be far away? Wouldn't everything be everywhere in the galaxy? Yes.
Well, the idea is that it was because of expansion that the old stuff is far away and the newer stuff is closer, and then it just expanded, right? And everything, we are the center of the universe, right?
I feel like you are. I feel like I'm slightly off center. Just ever so slightly.
Has Justin gone retrograde?
But yeah, it just means that, of course, the most ancient stars in the universe, they're also part of the Milky Way. I'm surprised that these stars last that long, but I guess maybe if you don't have the heavy metals to burn off, then you can hang around longer.
Or maybe, doesn't it depend on just how much stuff you have to burn? I guess. And if you're a candle with a big long wick and a lot of wax, you're going to burn longer.
Yeah, right? Even against that galactic wind. So the other thing is then, this actually is a fantastic opportunity now, because normally we can tell that stars like this exist in super faint galaxies that we have captured in the far distant parts of the universe. Now it turns out we can study stars that likely make up those galaxies right here in our own backyard. Fantastic.
Yeah. I think also on top of that, it's okay, we can look at the old stars closer and maybe look at a little more of the dynamics of their evolution and what makes this old stars tick. It's like figuring out why certain humans live so long. What's going on there?
I know. They don't eat ice cream. That's what I've heard.
I don't know. Some of them drink lots of whiskey. I have no idea.
Yeah, but not ice cream.
No. That's boring. I don't eat ice cream a lot either. I'm going to live forever. But also the idea that the Big Bang or whatever led to the initiation of all of the first stars and the early stars, and that then made way for the later galaxies, stars like our own. What were the dynamics early on that would lead to them spreading out all over the place? You know, what kind of physical dynamics, like when you break billiard balls, right? That, you know, they would spread out all over the place and not just be like we were thinking, you know, have always kind of textbook considered, just they'd be the farthest away. You know, what else?
The thing I was also thinking is that, like, I didn't know that these stars would be, I didn't think a star would last, 12, 13 billion years old, or however old these are. That's in the range where these are, 12 to 13 billion. I didn't think a star could last that long. Also, because our own sun that I thought was like as good a sun as you could have is like, I think it's supposed to have like a 8 billion year run or something like this. But maybe, there's different dynamics. But what occurred to me is that, like, if we captured an entire ancient galaxy, we could have captured 12, 13 billion year old planets.
Yes. Are they just stars or are they solar systems? Yeah, what's out there? Yeah. But if they are old stars and don't have the heavy metals, and maybe they didn't gather them as they traveled through the universe, how could they have planets that would have all the things that would lead to the sci-fi ancient alien civilizations? But these are really cool questions.
Well, the problem you was it that show the three
body problem?
It's really a 4-body problem because they got a planet involved. But
there's a book.
There's a book.
It's hard to read.
The thing is, like,
it takes motivation.
It's more than a planet. You need an atmosphere. It turns out that's the tricky one. There's plenty of planets. There's plenty of water. There's plenty of elements for life. Apparently, what we're finding is we find all these exoplanets out there in the galaxy. Is that the really hard thing is atmosphere.
And on that note, James Webb just spotted I think it's first rocky planet with an atmosphere. It doesn't necessarily mean that it is habitable or anything else. Ooh, I hit a light. That was like a bell ringing. But
a atmosphere out there.
Well, Venus has a great atmosphere, but it's not great.
Depends on
who you are. Yeah. I think that this it does answer a whole bunch of questions. So people in the chat, I think Fada was asking about the age of our galaxy specifically. I mean, our own solar system is about 4.5 billion years old. How old is the Milky Way galaxy beyond that? And then, what does that mean? I mean, and we are guesstimating the age of these stars by the comparison of elemental ratios, which those might not be correct either. So
it might not, but if
so far so good. It's interesting. Yeah. We'll go. I have many questions, and I'm sure the astrophysicists and cosmologists do as well. Yeah. I see you thinking.
Well, I mean, because the idea is that those elements are all that could have been used to form stars in the early galaxy. That was the thing. Right. And so when we saw that far, far away in what looked like early galaxies, okay, that makes sense. This is all that was there to make up the elements. And then we see these stars and we can say, they fit the early universe. There's a possibility that they're not that old and that the other elements burn off in time. I don't know.
Maybe they just got started in an area of our solar system or just space. I mean, they are going retrograde, which is, they are not traveling in the way that
our solar system.
Right.
Or our galaxy even. Sorry.
Our galaxy.
They're not from our galaxy.
Yeah, but maybe they came from a part of space that just didn't have a lot going on. But they're big questions. We need to get our faster than light space travel on, everybody. But before we do that,
need to send people.
No, we can send robots. It's totally fine. And right now we have robots on Mars, which is great. And so these robots have been able to check out the ratios of isotopes in the sediment in Gale Crater in Mars. And researchers looking at data coming from the Curiosity rover, just published in Nature Geoscience. This is from the Tokyo Institute of Technology and the University of Copenhagen. They found that the photo dissociation of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere to carbon monoxide, and then further reductions, because you have, basically think about like oxidative stress and reduction. It results in matter that has what's considered a carbon-13 isotopic content. And so when they measure the isotope ratio between carbon-13 and carbon-12, there's an abundance of carbon-13. And this is low compared to our own Earth's sedimentary matter. So they measured an abundance of 0.92% to about 0.99%, and the Earth's is about 1.04%. So, there's a little possible overlap, and there's maybe some, there's possible further measurements that could remain, but based on what they have measured out of the atmosphere and this area, Gale Crater, which we are like, there has been water there. This is a place where this carbon and the isotopes, we're looking at possible biological life evidence. But we need the evidence, right? So based on their analysis, they suggest that what we're pretty much looking at is the atmosphere breaking things up and UVA radiation breaking carbon monoxide down, and the fractionation that is in the upper atmospheres.
Wait. Hold up. Fractionation? Yeah. That's an awesome word.
Fractionation. Yeah.
Fractionation. That's a new word.
Things get broken into fractions. But so in the atmosphere, we have carbon monoxide, saying it got reduced. It gets broken down into stuff like formaldehyde. Oh, no, people don't like formaldehyde. But, oh, no, it's an organic compound that biological processes produce. Carboxylic acids, also biological processes. Anyway, end result is they think there's a lot of organic matter there, but they're not necessarily sure that it came from biological processes as opposed to UV and just other atmospheric and degradation processes. So, where did the organic matter on Mars come from? Maybe we got to check it out.
Fractionation.
Fractionation of that carbon monoxide. Another great word, photolysis.
Yeah. This is why we have to just find actual fossils.
Yeah.
We can't just it turns out all the stuff that we thought would be special about life is kind of everywhere.
Yeah. Anyway, carbon isotopes, different mechanisms. They came probably not from actual life, but probably from the sun fractionating everything. Oh, no. But we can go back if we send our robots and we get Elon Musk to send his truck. This is my new idea is that the Cybertruck is specifically not for people to drive. It's going to go to Mars. And that he's actually trying to build a rover vehicle. I mean, why else would you build something like that? But anyway, this is not science, but yeah.
No, but I have a confession to make.
It's like the single body. It's ugly. It can't carry anything except maybe some research equipment.
To make. I absolutely love the look
You
of
do
that
not.
Truck. I do. This
might be the end of our relationship, Justin.
No, this is what a kid of a certain age thinking the DeLorean was the most amazing car. What I thought cars of the future would look like when I was a child. Like, this is exactly what I would have drawn. And when I saw that, I was like, oh, everybody's going to want that and love that. And then there's like people like, I don't like it. Oh, it's ugly. I'm like, that's fine. At some point, there's going to be a bunch of these people or these used Tesla trucks that nobody wants. Great. And I'm going to be like, I'm going to have a fleet. I'm going to have a fleet of them.
What was the car from the late 80s, 90s that was like a car truck? And
well, there was the Brat.
Brad Pitt. There was like a movie, and he was like, he turned and he was like, and he said,
no. There's like the Isuzu Brat, which was one. There was
It was people
Ranchero.
Thought it was cool. No, people thought it was cooler than that. It was like longer, flat. It was like somebody took a sedan or I don't know. It was the worst. That was the other worst car ever in my mind. And
those Rancheros were
styling. El Camino. Yes. Thank you, Eric.
There you
go. Yeah, the El Camino.
Cool. I would totally drive one of those.
There's a certain link between the El Camino and the Cybertruck for me, and I think that might be a reason that I have issues with it, but I don't know.
I love the look of the Cybertruck. I've watched a couple of reviews where like none of the doors close all the way and it has problems and stuff.
And it gets stuck in the snow.
They'll figure that out. It's hard to start from scratch as an auto company. There's a lot of figuring.
But could you imagine if they put like the multiple directional like rover tires on it and it could drive all over and it's robotic and AI? Like it's going to Mars.
I don't even need it to do that. I don't even want it to be an electric car.
I know.
I just like the look of it.
It's part of Musk's plan.
I just think it looks cool. and I'm no fan of anything associated with the vehicle or any personalities associated with the vehicle or companies associated with the vehicle. I just think it's gorgeous.
You said it was cool, but it also could be hot. Do you think it will be hot?
I think it's hotter than Jesus.
Like,
you know what else is hotter than Jesus?
I don't know. Is that the name of a new reality show or something? Like, sounds like a dating show.
Researchers have now found out that 2023 was the hottest summer in the Northern Hemisphere in the past 2,000 years. Almost 4 degrees warmer than the coldest summer during that same period. So,
what would Mark Twain have said?
What would he say? What would he say?
Oh, summer in San Francisco is hot and is the hottest as ever. I'm sorry. I'm in a mood tonight.
As Mark Twain, not all of his quotes were as quotable as some of the famous ones. Some of them were just him kind of mumbling on about the weather in San Francisco. It's muggy today. That's a famous quote of Mark Twain's. It's very muggy today, he was known to say.
Summer in San Francisco is cold as the hottest day in hell.
Okay, back on track.
Sorry, tell me a story.
2023, hottest year on record. How can we tell it's the hottest year on record? Because we have records that go all the way back to around 1850-ish.
Yes.
But that's not 2,000 years. How do we go back 2,000 years? Well, by using past climate information from tree rings.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, tree rings can give us a clue into climate going back. You know, and some of this is, old trees. We can go back over 3,000 years if we are looking at sequoias.
Mm-hmm.
Those are some of the oldest trees that, they live for many, they can live for thousands of years, these trees.
beautiful trees. Yeah. Yes.
But that's one data point in one place in the Pacific Northwest of the United States. It's not good enough to tell us a global anything. But by also using archives of fossilized trees, we can also look at tree rings from the past as well. So they don't have to be a living tree. The great thing about the tree rings is you can read them. If somebody has created a log that they've used to, say, support the foundations of a Roman house, right? Or something like this. So you can actually still use, or something that fell into a bog might be even better. You can
something
use
preserved or possibly even petrified.
Yeah, so there's all sorts of methods of acquiring these, but there's archives of these tree rings that can provide the context that have annually resolved, absolutely dated information about past summer temperatures. And how do you know when a tree was? Well, what's amazing is they've gone through in these archives and these collections and matched up old fossilized tree rings to create a continuous map over the years. So in consulting this, yes, it looks like this is the hottest summer, even allowing for the natural climate variations over hundreds of years. 2023 was still the hottest summer since the height of the Roman Empire, exceeding the extremes of natural climate variability by half a degree. And it's not that things were even hotter that back then. It's just before that. It's just sort of this is how far back we have a reliable multi-point record at this point. It's not that but things were much hotter before the Roman days. No, it doesn't mean that. It means this is our window.
But it's still the tree rings are still indicative of rain, moisture content, the ability to grow, or not, as they had to preserve their water, or it was being the respiration was taking it away into the atmosphere. I think tree rings still are not like satellite data. And that's one of the things, people are, well, it's not satellite data, but we really, we don't have satellite data that goes
from
back.
From the Roman era.
We don't. So we do have to use these indirect measures. But we can go back, and look at not temperature necessarily, or water these indirect measures like carbon dioxide or carbon isotopes that are trapped in bubbles, in ice cores, or in soil samples. There's all sorts of ways, but this is one more piece of data, right? That's a specific measurement that agrees with a lot of the trends.
The results are published in the journal Nature. They suggest also that, at least for the Northern Hemisphere, that's, what was it? The Paris Climate Agreement, something?
Yeah, the Accords.
That wanted to limit warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels. Has been breached. Broken, zoom past, in the rear view, distant memory, party over, oops, out of time. We are beyond that threshold already.
We are, but if Blair were here, she would remind us to talk about the fact that it's great that we have this data that's coming together to let us know what's happening, how quickly it's happening, where things are going. But there are a lot of engineers and scientists who are also working on solutions, on looking at ways that aren't like, oh, we're going to put our market stock stuff in a forest and oops, the forest burned down. Not just rearranging there's not just rearranging the deck chairs in solutions. We are actually trying to use technologies to reduce the amount of carbon dioxide that is released, the amount of methane that's being released. NASA just picked its 4 missions that it's going to do primary tests on for measuring factors on Earth, like methane emissions. And 2 of them are going to end up receiving a bunch of funding to actually go into orbit around the planet and measure factors on the planet and keep track of what's going on.
We're going to measure it while it happens.
That's yes.
Good. Yeah, but the whole thing, the deck chairs you're talking about, it's a big lie.
Oh yeah, no, we've talked about it many times on the show.
It's they've done is dedicated land to grow trees, and if you add up the land, it's more land than they have available to grow trees on, and yet we've done it because we pledged a thing. Wait, but you just said you're going to do it, but that doesn't mean you did it. No. But we pledged it. We declared in a pledge that we would do it, and that's the same thing.
I feel like I feel like I'm that kid who tried. I feel like I'm that kid who tried to sell chocolate bars around the neighborhood, and people pledged a certain amount of money to buy chocolate bars. And then when I went to deliver I'd go to deliver the chocolate bars, and they're like, "Oh, I don't have the money. I'm sorry."
Oh no! Oh no!
There might be a reason I'm not really a joiner in those kinds of efforts. I haven't really taught my child that he should go sell magazines or chocolates or. Do you want to buy some Girl Scout cookies? Yeah, no. Anyway, I am an optimist and a realist, and I believe in humanity and our solutions. But right now, I might actually believe in tiger beetles even more.
Tiger beetles?
Tiger beetles? Tiger beetles are a cute little beetle. I mean, I don't know if you would think they were cute or not, but I think they're a cute little beetle. And they're the subject of a study that was just recently published in Biology Letters. Researchers realized that the beetles were not being kind of normal when bats were around. And when bats were around with their echolocation and their click, 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 sonar, making noise, testing where all the insects were, the beetles respond with ultrasonic clicks.
What?
Yes.
I thought they were just going to hear it and just be like, okay, chill. I'm just waiting till the bats are gone. But they're sending a signal back at the bat.
And when the bats change their echolocating signal, the beetles change as well. And the beetles are actually mimicking. So this is a kind of mimicry. We talk about like color mimicry, but this is acoustic mimicry. The beetles mimic a type of moth that makes this sound that is toxic to the bats.
Oh, what?
Yes. So these tiger beetles,
that is advanced countermeasures.
Right. They're like, ooh, the moths do this. They're bad for the bats. Ooh, bats don't like them. They make this sound. I'm going to learn how to do that. This is all, of course, not conscious thought. It is,
Oh, don't assume it's
adaptation.
not. Adaptation. We have. When's the last time you were able to talk to one of these?
I didn't have a great conversation with the last tiger beetle I stayed up late with. But these bats are really they are locked in a war of sound to predator-prey relationship with or against bats. The researchers put these beetles into they suspended them in areas where bats were and played the sounds of the bats. And let me see if I can play this for you, if I can get to the right screen. I'm going to share it for you and see if the audio works. So we have I don't know if you hear it, but it's kind of like it's a very high pitch. You hear that at all?
Yeah, I heard that the first time. I heard it.
Yeah, and the second, it's got a very different interesting sound to it. And so this sound that the tiger beetles make when it hears bat echolocation, it is made by its forewings and how it moves the wings, because the forewings contact the hind wings, and because of the wings interacting, it creates these these clicks from the beats of the wings.
And it's doing this in response to hearing the bat.
Yes.
So that's conscious.
It could be an instinctual reflex.
Like somebody laughing when they get tickled or something. It's just
or the kick you make when your knee gets that tendon on your knee gets poked by a doctor. I don't know, but they're doing more research to confirm their mimicry hypothesis. But they think that this is one of the first known insect species to be actually mimicking something from another acoustically mimicking another species that is toxic. So this kind of what they say the nocturnal acoustic world is something that needs a lot more study. Yeah. Tiger beetles. They're my new favorite beetles. And now they're going to do lots of studies on tiger beetles and find out how many of them can do this and which ones can do this. All right. Are everybody from Australia in the chat right now? Raise your hand. Everybody, you there? My Australian friends?
I don't think we have any Aussies.
I don't know.
Show anymore. We made too much fun of the Australians.
No, we have some. Anyway,
us.
They're not here right now, or at least they're not saying they're here. Because Australians apparently eat lots of shark.
Yeah. Well, look.
Sharks aren't fish. They're fish, but they're not fish.
What do you mean they're not fish? They're fish.
They're fish. They're cartilaginous.
Well, not all the way through.
But anyway, sharks, they're pretty awesome. Lots of them are endangered. Sharks are great, and they get a bad rap for, being hammerheads and jaws and, I don't know, megalodon and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, researchers published in Marine and Freshwater Research this month their study of looking at the sharks in the fish markets in a lot of areas in Australia and checking, as we've done sometimes, to see if the DNA matched the name on the labels. What do you think?
Fishmongers, based on the history that we've genetic sampling at stores and sushi restaurants and everything else, and this long history of these stories, fishmongers are liars.
I don't think they're liars.
They are just, or they can't tell the difference between the fish. Somebody
along the way has decided that a fish is a certain kind of fish, and that's what's being sold. Who knows whether it's the store, whether it's the fisherman, whether what. It's in a big crate of fish. It got all carved up, and suddenly it is.
Oh, that's even greater. You don't know. You've lost your source. You have no traceability of a food product. Look,
yeah.
I think it might be that nobody really wants to be a fishmonger. So nobody does it more than a couple months before, coming home every night, reeking of fish. Fish can be delicious. And then your spouse tells you, hey, we need to break up, or you need to stop being a fishmonger. And so they quit. And so nobody in the fishmongering industry has more than 6 weeks of experience. And that might be why nobody can identify a fish.
Your speculation is very entertaining. Turns out, though, overfishing is really the big problem for the decline in fisheries around the world, not just sharks. But sharks, they get overfished a lot. And so the question is, like other fish, are they the ones that you think they are if you're buying them at a fish shop in Australia? And the answer is probably not. 91 fillets labeled as sharks, 70% were mislabeled. 9 comprise 3 species listed as threatened: the scalloped hammerhead, green eye spur dog, and the school shark.
Well, that's okay. Hang on, now.
But
It's
these
still sharks.
two of those were being sold under the label flake, which isn't even shark.
Oh,
Over
okay.
70% were mislabeled, and the proportion of mislabeling was greater in takeaways compared with fish markets and wholesalers. So it's not just that the mislabeling is taking place. It's also that consumers, if fish, sharks, etc., are being, if they think they're buying one thing that they think is sustainable, but it turns out it's mislabeled, they are inadvertently contributing to the overfishing of populations that are endangered. And, what do? Stop eating flake. Stop eating the sharks.
I think they need to start arresting fishmongers for fraud.
Mislabeling.
But just
reliable information is lacking. Certainly.
Yeah, and it's a food product, so that's kind of terrifying, isn't it? That we have a
you
food
think
product.
you think you're buying cod, but suddenly you find out it's crab, and you have a shellfish allergy. No.
And it came from different waters, and it's a different species than you thought. And and the reason we don't know is, we didn't catch it, and somebody else said it was, and so we said, good enough. Just hand it off to you. Like, that's not a food chain. That's what is it? A surprise? Food surprise?
Food
surprise. It's not great. It's not great.
Honestly, I don't think I would go to the meat counter, the seafood counter, the whatever counter, and just say, surprise me. Like,
I would like some meat in a bag. Oh,
no.
Well, can you be more specific? Nope. I just want a meat surprise. Thank you very much.
That's like spam. I don't know.
Cook it up whatever it is.
Ew. We hope that you are listening to TWIS or watching TWIS, however it is, wherever you are, and enjoying our show. We're here every Wednesday, 8 p.m. Pacific time, to talk about all of the science stuff we think that's interesting. If you enjoy this show, please head to TWIS.org. That's the website where you can find show notes and links to the podcast, and you can subscribe to the podcast, and also find all sorts of other things related to the show, like our Patreon account link. So if you head over to Patreon through TWIS.org, you can support us in an ongoing fashion. $10 and more per month will get you a thank you by name at the end of the show. $15 more, you get some stickers and a thank you. There's t-shirts after that. There's all sorts of stuff. I'd love to say your name. I want to add your name to the list at the end of the show. I refresh it at the beginning of every month. So I have if you want to get on that list, head over there and do that Patreon. But we just appreciate your support in helping us keep this going. The other way is to head to Zazzle. Zazzle is our merchandise store where you can find t-shirts, you can find sweatshirts. I'm wearing my TWIS sweatshirt tonight. It's a little zip-up hoodie. It's got, I'm going to undo my headphones. It's got art by Blair, who is hoping to come back and join the show and test out whether or not she can come back on a few episodes here in the future. Fingers crossed. We're looking forward to that, but it would be great to get Blair's Animal Corner back on the show. It would be fantastic. But she does a lot of the art. She's made the calendars. She's got some incredible stuff that have created t-shirts and pillows and all sorts of merchandise that a certain part of those proceeds come back to help keep this show going. So if you want to help us out, head to Patreon, head to Zazzle, head to TWIS.org, subscribe, get your friends to subscribe, share with a friend today. Whatever you can do, all the help that you can give, we appreciate. We thank you for your support. We really can't do this without you. And why would we want to? Seriously. It'll be like me sitting here talking to myself without Justin or you or sad state of affairs when I'm standing in my basement alone, staring into a camera, talking to myself. Yet here I am. And so are you. And thank you so much for joining us. Schnago is saying that a big problem with walleye in Minnesota, mongers were selling perch as walleye. Yeah, Aussies have butcher shops that display roo steaks in the window. But I mean, kangaroo is literally, it's farmed, ranched for meat in some areas. So that's not too far off the path. I mean, I think that would be a dangerous ranching job to get into. I mean, bulls and cattle can get fairly large, but yeah. We had chickens once when I was growing up, and dogs took care of that, and I just never could go back. Poor chickens. And here I am talking to myself because Justin said he needs 5 minutes. And he didn't have a hard out, so I'm waiting for him to come back because he's supposed to start the next stories in the show. So I'm kind of like doing the show flow right now. So Rachel, I do hope that you will edit most of this monologue out because it's not really a necessary part of the show. I think this is the part of the show where I lose all of the audience. Ha ha. Oh, yeah, don't name your chickens or other farm animals. Yeah, if you have farm animals, you don't name them. Don't get attached. You don't do that. You don't do that with your research animals either, scientists. Unless, of course, you're going to just have them forever. That's great. Then you can name them. But it's fine. Thanks, John. I'm doing okay. Continuing to talk. I did get to see some solar flares out there. Identity 4 shared a picture of some solar flares from up in Washington area. The lights are so beautiful. One of my goals is to go back to Iceland and see some aurora in Iceland, or maybe Norway. Maybe Sweden is good. Did anyone out there watch Eurovision this weekend? Any fans of baby lasagna? Or perhaps, what was the other? Joost from the Netherlands, who got, he got in trouble and got kicked out. I don't know. There's a whole thing going on there. Is your microphone coming back, Justin? There you are. You're unmuted.
You're talking about Eurovision again. Oh
I was monologuing.
For 1 minute.
You can't.
And it's Eurovision.
It was. If anybody has watched this show for multiple years, you know that I had a Burning Man obsession for a very long time.
Okay, this is true. I remember.
And the recent-ish, I mean, more than the last 10 years, it's been Eurovision.
Okay. This is true also, I remember. Yeah.
It's my yearly joy.
I was
joy.
Living in Europe, and I hadn't even heard of Eurovision until you were talking about it.
And you missed it. I'm going to share all of the most amazing Eurovision songs with everyone. Switzerland's song actually is very good. I like it. Okay, Finland. Oh my gosh, Finland was great too. Anyway, Croatia was baby lasagna. Finland was good. I'm usually pro Norway, but I didn't like Norway this year. I don't even know how they got through the finals. But anyway, okay, now I'm going to say, and we're coming back from the break now. And Justin, do you have some science for us?
I do. The orcas are at it again, it seems. A group of orca attacked and sank a 50-foot-long sailing yacht on just this Sunday. 2 people had to be rescued from the waters near the Strait of Gibraltar.
That's where they kind of hang out. That's like that's the spot. There's there are particular outlets from harbors where the orcas are they're there. And if you're leaving at the wrong time, they're going to get you.
They occasionally migrate up from that strait up the coast of Spain, even to France, and also have been known to harass boats there. Hundreds and hundreds of incidents now. But I got to pause for a second. I got to go back for a second. Because 2 people had to be rescued from this 50-foot long sailing yacht. Is that a normal sized crew for a 50-foot sailing yacht? 2 people?
It can be. Yeah. I mean, you have automated, you can have automated jib stays and things like there are.
Jib stays?
Well, isn't
there a lot like still manual rigging and hoisting? Somebody needs to steer. I have no idea. What if one of them can't cook? What if neither of them can cook?
What if they just
a crew?
What if they just had a motor and they're like, we look cute on our 50-foot yacht with sails that aren't working and our motor? No, you can go out 2 people. People do this a lot. It's totally doable. Go get yourself a few issues of Latitude 28, and it's a great sailing magazine. Great community of people. Yeah.
Okay. I know. I know nothing about sailing. I just think
you can do it.
Did they just save 2 people? What happened to the others? Or I guess it could just be 2 people were on a 50-foot sailing yacht. I just don't understand how that works. Okay.
It's possible. I mean, you might be asking the right questions, but I'm just going to go with this was a couple of people who are doing their life trip there. And the orcas got them.
But this sank it. Like a lot of times they get harassed, they get turned around. I've heard
more and more often they get
attack sunk. The rudders or the props or whatever the things are. The keels. Anyway, the incident was yet another of what has been an emerging phenomenon of orca attacks that has researchers stumped. And in the hundreds and hundreds, more than 500 of these encounters have been recorded. So far, there are 2 main hypotheses regarding the baffling behavior. One is that it is just a fad. It's a thing the orcas are into right now. But since it has no like immediate survival benefit to these marine mammals, they might just give it up as quickly as they started it. The researchers are pointing to orcas in the Pacific Northwest, where there was a group that famously spent the summer of 1987 sporting dead salmon on their heads as a fashion statement, perhaps.
But that one wasn't that. That is different because there are the fish eaters and the mammal eaters in the Pacific Northwest, and they're 2 completely different populations. And the fish eaters are local, and the mammal or it's the other way around. The mammal eaters, they travel up to Alaska and come back down. They're like more migratory or nomadic. But they're completely different groups.
Sporting dead salmon on their heads only lasted that one season. And to be fair, fashion did get weird in the 80s. Like
shoulder pads?
If you didn't live it, you have no idea how weird it really got. But it was like it was strange in the 80s, especially the late 80s. It got really weird with the fashion. So maybe they were just trying to participate. The other main
They couldn't do flock of seagulls hair, so they're like, oh, I just put a salmon on my head. School of salmon.
So, they try things. Right.
They're smart social animals who
it might have been
together.
Working to bait other things. I don't know. I have no idea. So, but the other main hypothesis of this boat attacking fad, if it's a fad, is that it stems from past negative encounters with boats.
Yeah.
There can be boat strikes. There can be fishermen. There's reports that people are competing with
competing for food sources,
attacking. That people have thrown dynamite into the water to scare off mammals because they will attack the tuna that they already have caught.
That they're fishing.
That they're fishing, right? So The Iberian orca population is critically endangered. Their migration routes put their members in the path of many of these fishing vessels, military vessels, recreational vessels that are zipping through the Straits of Gibraltar. And this highly intelligent creature could be exhibiting territorial defense behaviors. Now,
I think that's likely, but it's just one idea, right?
While researchers caution against attributing malicious intent to these animals.
Yeah.
Vengeance for past ill-met encounters with boats and the humans aboard has been speculated. So, regardless of the reason this is happening, this guy who wouldn't know the starboard side from his own porthole is firmly on Team Orca. Just don't go in the water. It's theirs.
Dun-dun.
Stay out of their way.
Dun-dun, 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 dun-dun.
But this
Orca!
but this takedown of a 50-foot yacht, that's pretty intense. Like I've seen, there's a ton of videos you can find on the YouTubes where some of these encounters have been caught. And there's like ramming activities. There's coming up and biting the rudders, the steering things in the boats, and they're kind of aggressive, and then they just kind of go away. You know, they almost look like they're at play, except the ramming has to kind of. I mean, it's gotta hurt.
The sailors. There's talk among the sailors about it seeming much more organized, and that it's not that more and more often it seems less like random ramming, and that they do specifically go after the keel, which is the part of the boat that keeps it, from going topsy-turvy in the ocean, keeps it balanced, and the rudder, and then if they can put any kind of hole in the hull, then that's great too. But they specifically go after the more vulnerable parts of the boats, and it's like they're learning.
And the early reports I recall were a lot of them, they were literally turning the boats around. Like they would keep ramming one end until the boat was facing the other direction and go
back to port. Just go back.
Yeah. And so now I guess they've moved on to like, okay, well, we gave them a warning. We tried to give them a good warning to just go back. They didn't listen. So now we're going to start sinking them. and if it seems organized, like these are organized hunters. These are
and like we talked about last week on the show, the little tiny parrotlets, the green-bootied parrotlets or whatever, where when there was lots of food and no competition for mates, they were more willing to take on step kids. If there was lots of competition for resources, and bye babies, you're out, right? And I think people are this way too. Chimpanzees, so many social animals become more aggressive and more directed in their aggression when there's competition. And if it's competition for resources, for territory, and we're talking about these intelligent social animals that we really don't understand, who their populations are dwindling. And we're out there with our boats, ramming them, taking their fish. Who knows? Who knows? We need more scientists to go get in the water with the orcas and do tests.
Team Orca.
Team Orca.
Whatever they decide to do, I'm on their side.
I wonder what checkmate. Where are they going? What about the bears? Tell me about the cave bears.
So, this should belong last week. This is a total Kids Today story. Whenever you're like,
These kids today.
We're all kids today because they've. It turns out so there's evidence that they've previously found. This is a long while back, 20 plus years ago. I think it's German University Tübingen. anyway, I can't pronounce it.
Don't you live like in the Scandinavia area now? Come on, you're supposed to know how to say these things.
Germanic has its own sounds. That's different than the Scandinavian.
They all dialects are difficult.
I can't hear half of this Scandinavian.
Because you didn't grow up during that period of time before your brain turned to glass.
Yeah, they've got like a dozen extra vowels. I can't hear them. Anyway, about 20 years ago, they found a stone spear tip embedded in a cave bear vertebrae, which was the evidence that early humans in Europe had hunted this bear. So this evidence placed this bear hunt at around 29,000 years ago. So very, this is, in the time frame of early current modern human. Then they started looking over the last couple decades. They started more closely examining other cave bear remains and fossils that they would find. And the team closely examined hundreds of cave bear bones, looking for evidence that humans had potentially made a kill, and looked for signs of carcass stripping to remove fur and flesh. At site after site, researchers found similar patterns: slice marks on paw bones and skulls where hides would have to be cut free, bones cracked open to extract marrow. Some of it is, you could think there's another predator, maybe even another bear doing this. But the scrapes on long bones showing that they were carefully and thoroughly stripped of each and every last scrap of meat all matches human activity with stone tools. And what's the earliest beginnings of these findings? 300,000 years is when this shows up in the record. So this is then, it's pre-current modern human. This is even pushing back on like, can that even be Neanderthal? Like, that's kind of early even for Neanderthals, is the 300,000 years. I mean, what else could have been running around? But that would be very early Neanderthal activity going on there. Like, this is a very old practice. And so then, what were they hunting with? Well, the only thing they found is that's close to this range is some wooden spears that they think are early Neanderthal. And so they would have had to take on cave bears with wooden spears in maybe throwing them, maybe close up. I don't know.
And you want to do this? This sounds like, again, a great reality show. Let's try to hunt the cave bear and be hotter than Jesus.
Yeah, they say in the earliest caves, bones with marks made by Neanderthals and their immediate predecessor, Homo heidelbergensis, were often found intermingled with untouched cave bear bones, a sign that plenty of these bears died natural deaths as well. That may mean that they were only occasionally hunting them, not routinely. But starting 40,000 years ago, things changed. Almost all the cave bear bones in caves occupied by modern humans were modified, suggesting hunting became more systematic. That sounds like the current modern human way of doing things.
Yeah.
We won't just hunt bears sometimes. Let's go get all of them.
Let's get rid of them. Let's drive them all off of a cliff.
There's not a lot of like major predator animals in Europe. And I think that the early current modern humans, when they got to Europe, decided, hey, you know what would be great? Is if we didn't have any big predator animals anywhere. What if we just got rid of them all? Because what's the only thing, like a cave is a nice shelter. You're kind of safe from the elements.
But the bears are in there.
But then the bears come in and they ruin everything.
Yeah. You get the sticks because you have to poke the bears out of the caves. But the bears are big and
there was the glacial maximum that there was a cold spell that began about 27,000 years ago, and it lasted a mere 7,000 years.
No time at all.
Cave bears apparently became a tempting target. One, animals could dependably be found in caves, hibernating. So they were there, and they were probably sleeping, which actually makes the whole picture of the cave bear hunt of early man a little less dramatic if you're stabbing a sleeping bear, right? I mean, they're going to wake up, so then you got that all to deal with. But still, you get a good,
Yeah, I mean, that aggression is probably a good reason why we don't have pet bears instead of pet dogs.
Yeah. Like, okay, you go in with a couple of buddies. There's like, okay, on the count of 3. 1, 2. Wait. Question. Yeah, what's 3? What do you mean? Oh, we haven't invented numbers yet. Oh, that's right. Okay, hang on. It's too late.
Too late for you.
So there's that. But then there's also
puny humans.
There's also the reverse way that it could happen, which is that because of the cold, humans took up refuge in caves, which is also a place that bears would seek out when they were ready to hey, it's too cold out here even for a bear. I'm going to go into that cave and take shelter myself, and then find a bunch of sleeping humans. Right. So it could go either way.
And everybody's hungry because it's wintertime, so nobody's going to be nice and share the cave, and everyone's going to be aggressive, and then everybody's dead. Awesome.
But yeah, by 10,000 years ago, it says the last of the ferocious herbivores. So these weren't even meat-eating bears.
A lot of bears are herbivores. I mean, we talk about the vicious meat-eating bears, but bears really do like to eat the nuts, the berries, the honeycomb, the termites. They're insectivorous but they're not obligate carnivores.
I wouldn't have suspected that for these bears because even in the Americas, the dominant bear species, the short-nosed bear, short-faced bear, whatever it was a big game hunter.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until the Younger Dryas, when the big game went away, that you see all these bears turning to berries and fish.
Right.
Before then, they were like, we'll take on anything. I'm a bear. I'll eat what I want. Then when the big animals disappeared, they were like, I need a backup plan.
Yeah, I mean, I think this kind of gets at, that the conversations we always have when Blair's on the show kind of about, what's the difference between an endotherm and an ectotherm? What's the difference between, any of these things? Cows will eat meat. Deer will eat meat. A lot of species are generalists when they need to eat something. If there is food, they will eat it. So there are, yes, certain species that are adapted to be better predators and to be like cats. We know they need certain amino acids and they are obligate carnivores, but a majority of species are going to be much more, they're generalists. Like, it's salmon season. I'm going to eat all the salmon. Oh, the deer are having babies. I'm going to go get that deer right now because I can, and I'm a big short-faced bear. Yeah.
Yeah, they're also fast.
Yeah.
They're fast. But
I'm so glad my ancestors survived with their wooden sticks.
But it's the second time you mentioned this Blair person.
I think I got a
remind
message.
me again, who is this?
She would maybe be talking during this part of the show. I got a message from her possibly that she might want to try coming back at some point in the end of the month, maybe.
Oh, that would be so cool.
She wants to do an experiment or something. I don't know. Talk about the animals. Like the bears. I would like to talk. I'm going to add a quick story on to your cave bear hunter story. And it comes back to a story that we've talked about previously. In 2023, there was a study in which the researchers surveyed, as this is stated in the abstract of the paper I am looking at right now, ethnographically known foragers, and found that women hunt in 79% of foraging societies, with big game hunting occurring in 33%. And so based on this analysis of foraging societies and whatever, they were like, ladies been hunting for a long time. And so the authors of that study question the existence of gendered division of labor altogether. This paper that has just been published in Evolution and Human Behavior is a reaction to that study. And I just, there's a lot of questions right now about misinformation, disinformation, and this is the kind of paper and process that is how the scientific literature really should play out. This is the drama. One research group says, we looked at it this way, and we think this thing, which is that women and men throughout time have been equally hunting and gathering and doing all the things. And this group of researchers have come back and said, aha, touche. We think that you were biased in how you looked at the data, that you did not use empirical evidence. There's other evidence that contradicts what you have to say. I mean, not completely, but you made a very, very big conclusion that we don't agree with. So they think that now they had a myopic focus on hunting, and it diminishes the value of contributions that take different forms and downplays the trade-offs foragers of both sexes routinely face, and they caution against ethnographic revisionism that projects westernized conceptions of labor and its value onto foraging societies.
But that's how we've always done it.
Yeah.
Okay. So I remember this study because we covered it here on the show.
Yeah, that's why I'm bringing it up, because it's just, I'm like, wow, okay, other researchers are like, we think you did it wrong.
I'm curious to what they're pointing out, because as I'm remembering from that study that there was caveats to it.
There were.
There were caveats, which is when it came to big game hunting, it was almost entirely male dominated, but that there was a lot of smaller game hunting that the groups of women were doing. So there was some weird thing that the women tended to hunt with dogs more, like if going out with dogs to assist in the hunting, but that would also make sense for small game maybe. But there was a lot of nuance in that way that they presented that information with this study. Yes, the overall take on it would be men and women hunted. There's no difference in the sexes. But in that paper itself, there were a lot of differences that they had.
Nuances, yes.
Yeah, that they pointed out. So I guess if you read the headline and you would say like, oh, you're biased headline. Yeah. But still, there was a lot of range and region and specific stuff. And yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I just wanted to bring this study up because it's interesting that it's a new published article that's coming out that argues that the way that they did their analysis was biased. They looked at a societal level and not at a more individual level, what they call they provide no evidence that they conducted a paragraph level analysis. I don't know what that is for ethnographic research, but anyway, they say that the analysis is not replicable. So the question is now, can somebody else replicate the findings? And they say that the women's hunting was coded as a binary variable, recorded as present or absent. There was no minimum threshold for inclusion. And that overall, the estimate of 79% women being involved in hunting is substantially higher than previous quantitative assessments of 7%. And so because of such a giant difference between these numbers, they think that the original authors, they say, it's worthwhile to consider selection bias, which may be possible. But I enjoy the research battle, right? This is the thing. It's like a rap battle, except not as entertaining, but possibly entertaining if you look at it the right way.
I'm just putting myself in the shoes of a hunter of oldie times and passing by a giant giant bush of berries and go, oh, those look good, but too bad there's not a woman around to pick them. I can't. I won't forage. I can't. I don't know how.
Would never.
Or being out and seeing going out to pick berries as a woman and seeing a sleeping cave bear and going, too bad there's not a man around to kill it. Like,
I will not poke it with a stick or throw rocks at it.
Which might have just actually been the wise choice. But I think the idea that when you were living in a hunting, foraging society, meaning that's what you did to survive all of the time, that you would pass up meals because of some sort of cultural preference. Like, I don't buy that at all either. So.
Yeah. But we have, a comment from YouTube about the research battle, cognitive bias at its finest. Great work by the challenging team. And so, this is what it's about, is let's look critically at the research, at the data, at the analysis, and let's critique it. And let's say, hey, I see these, it got published, so it went through peer review, but we think that what you did you didn't do it right. So what needs to be done better? Is another group going to go and do it again? Will the original group redo their analysis? Is what will come here of this? And I do not believe that this group of researchers in their new paper is simply bringing this up because they don't want there to be a change to the traditional view of men hunters, women foragers. I don't think that's it. I think it is actually it is a fair statistical and also methodological critique. But we'll see.
And I do appreciate the drama of it all. No, I appreciate these types of back and forths. There's actually very little of it in science. For the volume of the papers that do get published on, the thousands of papers that are getting published a day in this current environment, there's very little of conversation going on
back and forth. It used to be that was it. It was that the journals were where
that many papers.
Yeah, now we have social media, and we have actually there's a lot of the conversation happening on the preprint side, because people are publishing ahead of peer review, getting the comments, and then going back and fixing what they did before they even go into peer review. So I think that what we're seeing in the journals is not necessarily like as dramatic all the time as it kind of used to be, but it's fun to look through like Science or Nature or the big ones and see the snarky comebacks that researchers have to certain papers after it's fun. It's like, science soap operas. Yeah, we'll see where that goes. But Anyway, the brain, it's flexible. How do we take in so much information without just being completely overwhelmed all the time?
By forgetting a lot.
We do a lot of forgetting. We do a lot of forgetting, but also our brain is a filter, and the neurons, or there are multiple filters in the way that the neurons are connected within the brain and how they interact with each other. And there are multiple layers of interaction and how they work and send certain signals down the line to become, part of our behaviors or part of our understanding of the world. And in this paper that was just published in Cell Neuron, researchers from the Massachusetts Institute of Technology have taken a look at neurons. And this is kind of coming from a neuronal network physics kind of way, but it's like, all right, there was a long time ago, researchers were like, every neuron is like linearly connected to other neurons, and so it's like a straight path. But if that were how everything worked, the brain and our behaviors wouldn't work the way that they do. So for a long time, people have been like, we think that there's more going on there. So there's got to be, each cell has to have more than one function. There has to be multifunctional activity in neurons. And maybe they're actually like in these, which we've seen in a lot of studies, there's ensembles and networks. And so what you have is not just different neurotransmitters, but you also have different inputs and outputs. And so you have different levels of stuff that lead to selectivity of action. And so the authors of this paper have argued that the property, that the flexibility of neurons that allow us to not succumb to the chaos of the universe is something called mixed selectivity. And in this mixed selectivity, it is pretty much that instead of being linear, where it's like neuron to neuron to neuron, where it's like photon to eye to visual cortex, and then from your eye, then maybe it goes too slow, not doing enough stuff, not connecting with enough things. You could never multitask. I could not be, deciding to share a screen at the same time while I'm having this conversation with you and trying to do this show. There's a lot of input going on here. So how does the neuron react to all of these, what they would call statistically independent variables? And there are some neurons that are like, no, I only do one thing. I like faces. That's it. That's all I respond to.
Yeah, I know there's just a handful that are doing spatial.
Yeah, so there's some that are
some
like dedicated neurons. Yes, but the majority of neurons seem to have this what they call a mixed selectivity. So you have context. And you also have different cues, you have different neurotransmitters, you have a lot of stuff going on. And so it's like all of this stuff interacting. And what they say is the activity can potentially be expressed as a weighted sum of the different variables that are impacting it. And this is actually more accurate as to the neurons that they measured in the brain. And they did some experiments with some rats in a cage, and we're able to find that, yes, there are these specific neurons that are more likely to be, multifactorial. They respond to lots of different things. They match, and they are the sum of all of these things. And, these rats are probably better at shopping at IKEA than I am. So the question now is this cellular mixed selectivity an important aspect of, maybe different architecture of the brain for ADHD, for autism? Is it something that we can be looking at for how neurons interact and which areas of the brain and which neurons are more likely to have this mixed selectivity? Which ones are going to be more linear in action? And can we potentially genetically modify some? Can we use this understanding to help high-level cognitive function in the brain?
Right now,
Yeah.
Kiki is demonstrating how the chaos of the universe, the information, can be filtered through various channels in a brain to come up with order.
I said words and put pictures on the screen. Did I make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. No, this is what I'm saying. You're demonstrating how
I try.
all these possibilities, and it's now filtering through different logic channels of a brain, all of which apparently I'm now learning are illusions that are based on how your neuronal construct may happen to be, but can reveal actual truths about the chaotic universe surrounding. It's an amazing demonstration.
Oh, and so then from what you just said, how does this play into also neurotransmitters and receptors? So when we talk about psychedelics and people talk about the way that they feel like the filters on the brain have been altered when you take psychedelics, LSD, mushrooms, other compounds. And a lot of times they're acting on different serotonergic receptors. They are acting on dopaminergic receptors, and that's changing the input and output of neurons. And so that weighted sum of activity of neurons is going to get changed.
And as a callback to earlier in the show, you can actually get a time exposure through your eyes, where images will remain. What is it? The trails from certain psychedelics I've experienced. Light will stay in your vision.
Persistence of vision.
Persistence of vision, so you can kind of get those times. Maybe you can see the Aurora Borealis without the phone. I don't know.
That would be awesome.
We'll have to do a poll.
Darn it! I missed my chance. Yeah. This isn't necessarily like, yeah, this is so crazy new, but it's a new specific step in understanding the mechanisms that lead our brain to creating order out of the many, many stimulatory inputs that come into it. How do we actually act like people when everything is just crazy? That's partially how. Weighted sums, dude. That's right. Mixed selectivity, man. That's what's going on in your neurons. Yeah, they choose to be friends and they're like, yeah, let's mix it up a little. Okay.
You need those options. You need those brain options. When you go stick a sleeping bear with a big stick, you need a lot of options right after. Maybe some would have been handy before you did it, but now you really need them.
Yeah. Okay. Speaking of options, nowadays everybody's got so many options that they don't need to go out and poke bears with sticks anymore because they're like scrolling on their phones. It's like, what do I want to watch on Netflix? What do I want to do here? Oh, I'm going to watch TWIS. Yeah, it's a great option. Yeah. But there's been a lot of talk about the negative influence of the internet on mental health. People who spend more time on haven't we heard the
There's
data?
A negative influence?
Your child should not have any more than 5 days of screen time a month. I don't know.
Yeah, but they,
you don't do the internet. It will make you sad. There's all the studies. Anyway, it's a bit of hyperbole. Yeah. A survey just out of more than 2.4 million people suggests that it's not always bad. The internet is good sometimes. And actually, for a lot of people, it boosts their measures of well-being.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. So the concerns that that this study really brought out is that it's how people are using the internet and whether or not the use of the internet is bringing them life satisfaction and sense of purpose, whether it's, involved in those aspects of positively influencing mental health. So if your best friend and you have a relationship where you get each other when they send you that reel from Instagram and you're like, oh, I get I understand what you're feeling right now. Suddenly you have a connection with that person, but you've been on the internet. That was it. But it didn't take you out of, that was actually good for your relationship. It brought you together. And so this research actually suggests, that was published in Technology, Mind, and Behavior, that a lot of the studies have only really come from a handful of English-speaking countries and also mainly focused on young people. And in this, they looked at data from the world. It's from the Gallup World Poll, and they looked at 8 measures of well-being annually from 2006 to 2021. People aged 15 and above in 168 countries, interviewed them through phone or in-person interviews, and they also controlled for different factors influencing their personal welfare, mental health, internet use, income, employment status, education, and health problems, etc. On average, people who have internet access score 8% higher on measures of satisfaction with their lives, positive experiences, and contentment with their social life as compared to people who don't have access to the web. So there's benefits out there. What they did see, which is related specifically to news about mental health and young individuals, is that women aged 15 to 24 who reported having used the internet in the past week were on average less happy with where they live. They don't know why. That's not something that was addressed in the study. Other people than other individuals their age who didn't use the internet.
Okay.
So if they, in the last week, had used the internet, they were less satisfied, less happy. So perhaps that's because of social. Yeah, it's a hard time of life, but also
you're doing a lot of life comparisons. Like, where am I at 15? Oh, somebody else is living their best life already at 15. Oh, I'm way behind the game of life. I'm trying to catch up now. Before that, the teens, I don't think anybody thinks about that. And then after, you're like, I don't care what other people do.
Yeah, peer pressure and the wanting to fit in, and if you keep up with the Joneses,
and especially in this current climate, when the Joneses are AI bots producing content on social media to the point where it's not even other people that you're comparing to.
Or it's people who have created a persona where everything is, they've taken 500 photos to get the one photo they post. They're not really on a beach someplace. They just, I don't know, put a truckload of sand in their living room.
With the green screen.
With a green screen. Yeah. There's so many things, and we think we're comparing ourselves against reality when what we are doing is seeing what people want you to see. People put on out there like this image of everything's happy in my life. It's all good. It's great. I'm on vacation. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. I think overall the internet is. I think it was better. And I feel like it was better.
Well, okay, let's not don't go back to the old days. Back when the internet was better. Back when he had the BB forums and we had AOL Messenger and
And the thing is, I think the reason I think it was better is because it was clunky and it was all people making stuff.
People were making stuff.
Websites. It was people's, and it means maybe some of the information was less credible. That might be possible too. There certainly wasn't as much access to scientific information as there is now.
There was more play and creativity, and now it's more business.
It's so corporate, and then everything wants to feed me a cookie with 200 vendors. Like, why do you?
I just want a chocolate chip cookie. Come on,
look at the chocolate chip cookie recipe. How can I need that many people?
Oh, when I go to websites, I'm either like, reject all cookies, or I'm starting to take the time more often to be like, if saying no to the cookies reduces the functionality of the website, then maybe I'll accept your cookie. But
whenever I see that list of turn off this, turn off this, turn off this,
and then you just turn off the website. I just
you know what?
You leave.
I don't even really need to go there that bad.
I do that too.
There's other websites. Bye.
Do I need to be here? No.
No,
I don't need to be here.
Goodbye.
Well, if anyone out there thinks that our website asks for too much stuff, I don't even know. I think it's like a plugin. So if you go to our website and it asks for cookies and
we're saying all this,
stuff,
and then we go there and it's like 800
I know.
vendors on it.
No, actually, like really, let me know because I want to make sure everybody's happy. And yeah. Anyway, if you give me information about you, it's because you want to, and not.
And
because
we will track you, but in like a
it.
good way, you know, like we want to make sure you're doing all right. You know, have somebody looking out for you.
I do want to make sure everybody's doing all right out there. And yet, it does depend, I think, on how people use the internet. If you are doom scrolling, I mean, the word doom in doom scroll, it kind of implies that there's a negativity there, right?
It's the misinformation,
and it's also
no
escapist.
Has also become a really big problem. Escapism, I think, is fine, but it is the doom scrolling escapism into the worlds of misinformation that then people take out into the actual meat space world and try to apply. These are the things that these are the bad that the internet that we knew we were
These are a few of my least favorite things. They make the internet so bad. Everybody, we can use the internet in wonderful ways, and we really need to be a part of addressing how the internet evolves moving forward, especially in this age of AI. And there are many organizations and a lot of effort in trying to get people in Congress involved in this process of determining how we're going to deal with artificial intelligence as it respects with respect to content production, video, audio, text, all the stuff. How is it going to be used? What are we going to, are we going to, is it already out of the box, or do we trust the big corporations to regulate themselves?
Huh?
Yeah,
no.
Right? No, exactly. So anyway, I hope somebody recorded at least 6 seconds of my voice so that they can create their own science podcast that sounds just like me.
You know, it's kind of funny, though.
They could.
You know, it's kind of funny if you think about it. What were the corporations complaining about 20 years ago? Oh, the internet. People are sampling music and downloading music for free, and they're taking all of this content and they're just taking it. And now the corporation's like, hey, we can use AI to sample all this creator content that's out there already and create our own content based on it. That is, then we can trademark because they put it out there. We can sample it for free. Oh, perfect.
I mean, some people, they've been sampling it, so I can sample it. Anybody else sample it? I mean, derivative works,
okay.
right?
We're going to sample you now.
Lawyers are going to be busy and rolling in it for so long.
But they're going to be AI lawyers. All the lawyers are going to be out of work because at some point it's just
they're already doing it.
They don't really need lawyers once you have it.
No. And as we're saying, AI
based.
And yes, as we're saying AI, I do want to let everyone know yet again that the algorithms that are based off of large language models, natural language models, learning models that are based off of like clustered probability statistics and can be very biased and are probably already biased. And then as we react with them, and then humans have weird inputs that are probably going to bias it even more. So yeah, let's get real, everyone.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us for TWIS. It's been a really nice time tonight talking with you. Yeah. And I hope that we made you 8% happier tonight, at least because you spent time with us on the internet.
8% more.
And for those of you who are of the female persuasion and from 15 to 24 years old, I hope that this did not make you less happy or satisfied in your life. I hope we brought you that 8% of
I don't think we were doing that. I don't think we
No.
would do that.
No. I know who did it.
I think we're
Oh, what? It's your birthday? Happy birthday. Is this Pamela?
Lugemel Fuslestay.
Is this Pamela? Is this the symbol? Is it really? I'm waiting for the response. Rachel can edit it out if they say. Anyway, we are glad to make your birthday even better. It is time for us to get going. Anybody else who had a birthday today? Happy birthday! Anyone who had a birthday yesterday, tomorrow, whenever, congratulations on another successful orbit around the sun. Let's keep it going. Let's do... Oh, this is T. Okay. Hey, T. Congratulations on another year around our solar plasma ball. Anyway, I think I need to close this show now, and I'm trying to find my show notes that I think I closed. What did I do with my notes?
Oh, no.
I put them all away. They're gone. I was done with this show a while ago, apparently.
Thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed the show. Mm-hmm. Shout outs to Fada for his help with social media and show notes, Gord for manning the chat room, ID4 for recording the show, Rachel for your amazing assistance, and I'd like to thank our Patreon sponsors for their generous support.
And those Patreon sponsors are Alan Viola, Aaron Anathema. I gotta change the screen so I can see it. Arthur Kepler, Craig Potts, Mary Gertz, Teresa Smith, Richard Badge, Bob Coles, Kenton Northcote, George Chorus, Vieira, Velazarb, John Ratnaswamy, Chris Wozniak, Vegard Shefstad, Donathan Stiles, a.k.a. Don Stylo, Ali Coffin, Reagan Shubru, Sarah Farfar, Forfar, Don Mundus, P.I.G., Stephen Albaran, Daryl Myshak, Andrew Swanson, Fredus104, Sky Luke, Paul Ronovich, Kevin Reardon, Noodles Jack, Brian Carrington, David E. Youngblood, Sean Clarence Lamb, John McKee, Greg Riley, Mark Hesflo, Steve Leisman, a.k.a. Zima, Ken Hayes, Howard Tan, Christopher Rappin, Richard Brendan Minish, Johnny Gridley. We're almost to a birthday. Remy Day, G. Burton Lattimore, Flying Out, Christopher Dreyer, Artyom, Greg Briggs, John Outwood, Rudy Garcia, Dave Wilkinson, Rodney Lewis, Paul Rick Ramus, Philip Shane, Kurt Larson, Craig Landon, Sue Doster, Jason Olds, Dave Neighbor, Eric Knapp, Lon Makes EO, Adam Mishkan, Aaron Luthen, Bob Calder, Marjorie, Paul Disney, David Simmerly, Patrick Pecoraro, and Tony Steele. Thank you, one and all, for supporting us on Patreon. And if anyone of you who are not already supporting us on Patreon would like to, you can head over to TWIS.org and click on the Patreon button. It'll take you to the Patreon community, and you can choose your level of support, and I'll be able to read your name. And that would be pretty awesome. On next week's show,
we'll be back Wednesday, 8 p.m. Pacific time and 5 a.m. Thursday Central European Time, live from our Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook channels.
Yes, and if you want to listen to us as a podcast, not just look at us on video, because we're so pretty, just search for This Week in Science wherever podcasts are found. If you enjoyed the show, get your friends to subscribe too.
For more information on anything you've heard here today, show notes and links to the stories will be available on our website, www.twis.org. We won't even make you sign up for the newsletter. You can just look at it.
But we ask you
right
to,
there.
Because it would be nice. But anyway, because we might send you one or a letter or something someday. But we love your feedback as well. So if there's a topic you want us to cover, address, or suggestion for an interview, someone else to add to the fun of the show, please let us know. Find one of our social media accounts, or you can send an email. Just put TWIS in the subject line so your email doesn't get spam filtered into a winter hibernation cave bear cave and then stabbed by ancient humans with a wooden stick.
That's how the internet works, people.
8% less happy.
We look forward to discussing science with you again next week. And if you learned anything from this show, remember,
it's all in your head.
This Week in Science. This Week in Science. This Week in Science. This week in science, it's the end of the world. So I'm setting up shop, got my banner unfurled. It says the scientist is in, I'm gonna sell my advice. Show them how to stop the robots with a simple device. I'll reverse global warming with a wave of my hand. And all it'll cost you is a couple of grand. 'Cause this week's science is coming your way. So everybody listen to what I say. I use the scientific method for all that it's worth. And I'll broadcast my opinion all over the earth. 'Cause it's This Week in Science. This Week in Science. This Week in Science. 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 This Week in Science. This Week in Science. This Week in Science. 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 I've got one disclaimer and it shouldn't be news. That
what I say may not represent your views and usually doesn't because it's our views and who knows what your views are. I really don't represent you. I just appreciate you as an audience. It's the after show now.
Oh, everybody needs to align their views with ours. Isn't that how propaganda, science propaganda works? You too shall think in terms of science, reality.
We really are.
Within you. The cosmos is the chaos within you that your brain
science
turns into logical
zeros and ones.
into logical formats that are an illusion that yet can reveal truth.
What is a logical format? What is that? Like an Ogg Vorbis or MP4, H.264?
So what I'm still trying to figure out is why I can't edit a PDF, but I can't
you need
edit
layers.
anything else.
What?
It's so annoying.
Do you have Adobe with the?
No, I don't currently.
You can't just edit it. You need something with layers if you want to edit it. Sometimes if you have the Adobe Acrobat or whatever, it has an editing thing that you might be able to go in and delete out specific things, but
why is it that it's like better to print a PDF, but it's easier to write in the document form? Can't they make the documents like
it's a
the
compressed
Google or the
data
Word?
format for?
Can't they make them like more printable? Like one more step. Hello. Anyway,
it depends on what you're doing. I mean, if it's just words on a page, then it's like .doc or whatever. It's a document,
but then, like,
right?
There's always like, here's a document we want you to fill out. Oh, cool. What is it? Oh, it's a PDF.
It's a PDF.
Oh, that'll make it impossible to work with. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Impossible to use document. Sorry,
no, you're supposed to have a subscription to a very large corporate entity that doesn't update their software, actually to update their software just to make you, I don't know, just to make it so that software breaks with whatever OS you're using, I think. I don't know.
This is what's wrong with the internet today.
Oh my God.
In my day.
What is wrong with the internet today?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah. I would love to be the IT dude who's in charge of the entire internet. And he's like, you know what we're going to do? We're just going to wipe the server, reboot. We're going to, re-upload the operating system, start over.
In my day, when you Googled a word, it gave you a definition of the word. Nowadays, it tries to get you to buy something associated with the word.
Oh my God. Corey Doctorow is the best word, which I'm not going to say because it has the S word in the middle of it, but it's a great word that has to do with the fact that lots of good social platforms and software and all sorts of stuff that we've used for years and years and years, like eventually they got bought out by venture and private equity and other stuff, and then that's the downward spiral of profits over actual quality product and consumer and user experience. And so, I mean, actually it's the after show. So it's in shitification. It's the best word. It's like honestly one of my favorite words. I think it explains so much in just one word.
Yeah. It's Boeing. It's
Boeing
Twitter.
can't even Starliner. Spaceship. I feel like it's like the Lego dude, like in the Lego movie.
Yeah. Everything is awesome when you're part of a team.
Yeah, well, then it's like, yeah. Eventually, he rebuilt his spaceship, and he was able to fly the spaceship. But yeah, Boeing apparently cannot build a spaceship that can launch for NASA with a crew on it. And Eric Knapp is saying, and I agree with this 100%. There is a way, it's several years ago video. Simone Gertz, who was, she started out on YouTube as like the weird robot engineer. She'd make these weird robots that would put lipstick on her face and stuff. She took a Tesla Model 3 and converted it into a truck. And it is so much better. So much better.
Nobody's going to get me off the Tesla truck. I love everything about the way it looks. Now, I hear it's not a great off-road vehicle.
You know what? I hope they put it on spaceship, and then it goes to Mars, and then they get it to Mars, and then it gets stuck in a sand dune on Mars.
He's using some very specific Lego character neurons right now. I think these ones might be dedicated.
There's this like 13 years of having a child, and like those neurons only remember child pop culture. But those movies were made for the parents, not for the children. So true.
So on a Cybertruck.
Shubru, get a video. I want to see a video of your wine and Cybertruck experience. I think it sounds like it's an accident waiting to happen, but it could be amazing. So please share some video. That would be incredible. It would be awesome. What? Well, Disney, you have some old workshop pegboard from Simone? That's very cool. You say somehow. I am suspicious. Oh, yeah, that's right. She called it Truckla, which I think was the best name instead of Tesla. Truckla. Yay! Thank you, Shubru, in the name of science. And I'm putting it on screen right now, so you are on record. Recorded in the after show.
Yeah, Truckla looks pretty awesome. Okay.
Did you just look it up?
That kind of looks like the old El Camino, a little bit.
It does. I like it. Yeah, it's
cooler.
It's cooler.
I actually saw
it's cooler than like the
old style Prius
or the RAV4.
That somebody had done the same thing too. It was like had a really small pickup bed to it, and it was like, that's very cool. Why don't they make this? I have different
Why don't people
aesthetical tastes than the other humans.
And that's what I've discovered as well. I think part of I understand I don't like the same things as lots of other people. No. And that's okay. My brain works differently. I probably think a lot about things that other people don't think about. That's okay.
That's totally fine.
It makes you, makes me. Yeah. It's fine. Yeah. Oh, VW did have a small pickup based on the rabbit. That was cute. Have you seen that one? That was a funny one. Kathy, stop attacking my couch. I know. You're being cute and funny. Stop it.
Recall that. I don't recall that.
Kathy. My cat is attacking the back of my couch. She's
I thought you were yelling at your child.
No, my cat. She's acting like she's being crazy. She's like,
the thing.
And her tail's all big.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Now it's coming back.
You can't. The pegboard came in an envelope, and you don't remember why or how.
The thing is kind of cool.
Are you sure you didn't order the pegboard from Alibaba? Are you sure it's Simone's?
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's a little too squarish for me. The thing.
Yeah.
I like. Actually, if to be honest, probably it's still a childhood dream of owning a DeLorean. I mean, watch Back to the Future like 20 times in the theaters. Like, I probably just want a DeLorean.
I think you do.
That's probably it.
They
but
weren't
I know
good cars, though.
No, they were terrible cars.
They're terrible cars, yeah.
I would never buy or own a car at this point that's not made Japanese car. They're the only ones
like a long time ago that became the like.
Yeah, it's still the
standard.
Thing. It's like quality and owning an auto, putting all that money and having a reliable transportation. You buy a Japanese car. That's the only way to do it. However, I will say,
yes,
I might drive an unreliable DeLorean around.
Because it wouldn't be for the driving. It would just be for the opening the doors.
Just
and maybe taking the hood off and making it look like it had a food processor in the engine. Oh, Eric Knapp, come on. It's hashtag sorry, not sorry. That was I appreciate that one.
Forgot. I have a DeLorean.
With the overthruster.
I got one. I even went out and got one. And look.
You did. Oh my gosh.
And it's hard to see who's in there, but it's
Is that a Lego Marty McFly? The dock?
It's a Playmobil. No, it's a Spock.
Spock
and Marty. It's a new take on it. Yeah.
Come here. Why are you crazy? Come here. Stop being crazy. This is my crazy kitty. There, cat time.
Yeah. All stainless steel.
Justin has a DeLorean. I have a cat. Yes. AMC. That's awesome. Did anyone get one of the popcorn buckets from Dune? Anyone?
Are you talking about? Are you doing some hobbyist collecting all of a sudden with the remaining time on the show?
No,
I'm trying to track down.
You were talking about the DeLorean. You got the little DeLorean. You'd get your thing. And then Super said something about AMC. AMC, like that reminded me of the movie company. And then I was thinking about the popcorn buckets that they were selling. It was a special offer with certain at certain theaters for Dune when Dune just came out. Dune 2.
So this is not AMC. It looks. I know it's the same. It's DMC. It's the DeLorean Motor Company. It was its own motor company that made one car. That kept promising more cars and improvements. But unlike where
the DeLorean.
Elon Musk, people stopped believing the DeLorean Motor Company was going to deliver on its promises and stopped funding them. Whereas Tesla and its self-driving cars continues to get funding despite producing nothing after year of promises. So
because there's a
different age.
Whole master plan that involves going to space, putting the Cybertruck on Mars, and then uploading Elon's consciousness into the car to drive around Mars forever.
That sounds fine.
And I think that humanity is just hoping, waiting for that day. No, I'm kidding. I send no bad vibes to anyone, ever. What are you playing with your DeLorean now?
Spock and Marty are going on an adventure. And there's a way somehow I can get the
Spock doesn't know anything about gigawatts.
What?
1.21 gigawatts. And his hair is just too neatly coiffed. I mean, Spock doesn't even have a cowlick like you. I see the lack of response.
Hang on. I got the wheels up. I can fly now. Hang on. I just got the wheels up. I gotta get. See? Now the wheels are up. Now they can take off into the.
Into time and space. Like sands through the hourglass.
Is it Spock and Marty? Is that Spock and Morty?
Oh, Marty McFly. Morty. No, isn't that Morty? That's the
Rick and Morty.
Rick and Morty. That's the grandson of Rick.
Based on Doc and Marty.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Exactly. That's what.
But
yes,
Spock and Marty. Spock and Morty. Which one would be better?
Mork and Mindy.
Mork and Mindy. That needs to come back. You're right.
Good. Nanu, live long, prosper. Nanu, prosper. You're not even looking. Anyway,
I'm looking for see if I got a Mindy.
More toys. Elon. So last week we talked about the kind of the ethics and the future of neural implants and implantable technologies, and what happens when they stop updating software and you just have old defunct technology in your head or somewhere. The next day there was a report in the paper that the first person to have Neuralink implanted, that it stopped working. It was a big thing. Anyway.
Well, hey, at least it's just a little implant. It's not like the. Remember back in the early days, when that fella got a floppy disk drive installed in his head. Whoa, that took up a lot of space, and you can't even find the.
What? Anyway, the Neuralink patient's fine. The thing just it didn't want to be in his brain anymore. And yes, TSAing they got it back to working, but it's got issues. Anyway, but I thought it was the timing after talking about it on the show was interesting. I will say no more. You are the voice of reason.
Thing is, even as you age, I find you can upgrade all the technology around you. But if you are the old tech, then you got it. That's a problem.
I think we need to all know how to use the new tech. We should train everybody. Yeah, did they try to turn it off and turn it back on again? Yeah, did they unplug it and plug it back in? Mm-hmm. Basically, they did. But yeah, I think though I don't want to be the person who's always asking my grandson how to. Can you program the VCR for me? There are certain things I definitely will probably not keep up with, but at the same time, I feel like we should all do our best to keep up with the technology that is impacting, not just the stuff that I don't know we're using for cooking or our refrigerators or televisions or whatever, but especially the stuff that is impacting how we consume information and how that information, whether we can trust that information or not. I think that is going to be a big, big part of, I don't know, like digital public health, right? Digital hygiene. As you get older, you got to learn how to keep your brain clean, everybody.
Mental floss.
Yeah, a little mental floss. Yeah. I think that's the thing that we're all going to have to do as we get older. You don't have to know how to do everything, but just kind of keep up with it so you know what's going on. So that nobody steals your password and gets in your bank account.
What?
No to a fake. Don't tell anybody anything.
Everything's a scam. Trust no one. speak to no one, or on the phone. Nothing good comes from the phone. Strangers on the phone are danger.
Don't talk to people on the phone.
Stranger danger is a thing on the phone.
Okay. So
also the internet.
The internet. There is a new app that somebody decided to send me a press release about. It's an app where they use people's location to connect people so they can meet each other and have and connect.
Isn't that everything? All the apps.
Never heard of this one before.
That's amazing.
I think there was one like that, and then it stopped working. It got bought by something else, and it went away, and now they're trying it again. Somebody else. Everything old is new again. Don't give your digital information to anyone. Never turn on your location information on your phone. Come on. Unless you're like literally trying to drive somewhere and you need your GPS and you really want to. Never let apps have your geographic location. Do not do Foursquare. Do not do whatever this other app is that I'm not going to name. It's like they're like, track me. Take all my information. I'm going to post on the internet, and that's free content for you. Nobody pay me anything, and that's great, and I'll pay you $10 a month for this service. It's
a testing ground so that they can apply it in authoritarian countries and track people. This is,
We decided the other day that cats actually, Kai was telling me about some new meme gif, like something where like there's this new Chinese product that it's an automatic cat feeder, and it takes pictures of your cat when the food's coming out.
What is it?
It feeds the cat food, but then it takes pictures of the cat and then posts them to the internet for you.
Oh, automatically. Perfect.
Yeah. So there's all these funny pictures of cats taken by these things, but we were talking about it, and I decided that it's really a plot. They're using the cats. They're sleeper cells. Cats in weather balloons. Like, it's a whole conspiracy, everyone.
Do you know how old the internet is?
They're going to activate the cats one of these days.
Do you know how old the internet is? Do you know how old it is?
It's many decades old.
Yeah. Do you know how long a cat lives?
Not that many decades.
Not that many decades. Do you know that most of the cats that you see on the internet are dead?
I know. They're all...
Most of them are dead cats. Dead cat memes. That's what it is. It's all dead cat memes.
On the internet, you can live forever. On a fake beach that's from a truckload of sand that you put in your living room in front of a green screen.
That shows my Cybertruck driving through sand, no problem. Not an issue. Not getting stuck.
Yeah. Why do I get so much catnip at the door every morning from Amazon? Yeah, the cats are using the internet while I sleep. Oh, Shubrew. Enter cat communications. This is hilarious.
Got almost in trouble at school for having.
What? What'd you do?
Half a pound of catnip on me. Yeah. They made a big production out of it. Oh, this is serious trouble, Mr. Jackson. I'm like, yeah, really? I'm like, I had no idea it was illegal. Because, you look at it and it looks like a big bag of what was illegal at the time.
But it was catnip.
You had no idea? No, I had no idea at all. And they're like, well, this is going to have to.
Could have been dried parsley. Could have been so many things. Oh my gosh.
They just assumed. They assumed because it was me, for some reason, they thought I would be up to no good. I don't know why.
Why would you ever be up to no good?
I don't know why. But after making a big production and getting the school liaison officer involved and the principal and the vice principal and the district supervisor came down and
Mr. Jackson, We're going to
Mr.
have
Jackson
to call your parents.
Oh, and bigger trouble than that. You know, it was in the middle of a class and everything. And I was like, yeah, well, sorry, I just didn't know that, you know.
That catnip, that I couldn't bring catnip
was a contraband. I'm like, catnip? I'm like, yeah. Oh, you're saying it's catnip? Uh-huh. Why do you have this much catnip? Oh, it's a pet store's on the way to school.
This is why you don't like cats. This explains everything.
And then they were like, they didn't know what to do. They were like, whoa, we're going to go test it. I'm like, how? How are you going to test it?
Oh, my gosh.
Don't tell me you guys are going to go and smoke some catnip. Hey, my goodness.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You're a firecracker, Mr. Jackson.
It was, actually it started out.
You were provocative. Isn't that the word?
Well, why am I getting blamed? Actually, what I had done was a perfectly natural, normal thing, which is buying catnip.
See what you could get away with at school.
No.
Eventually.
Eventually. But it wasn't until like there was like a break, I think it was a lunch break or morning break or something like that between classes. When I was taking stuff out for the locker and putting it in the backpack and taking other stuff in, and I took this out and somebody was like, "Whoa!" I'm like, "Oh yeah, no, it's just." And then I was like, "Oh yeah, but it does kind of look like that, huh?" And then walking around with it, and then saw one of the adult type teacher people, and so I put it in my pocket and quickly walked away. And then they found me, and so I'm in the class,
not looking guilty
in a pocket, and they're like, they all came in like with this concerny faces, and Mr. Jackson, we need you to empty your pockets. I'm like, okay, so I'm like reaching in, take out like my latch key, or kid key there.
Oh yeah, because that's what years it was with the latch keys.
Mm-hmm. Take out my duct tape wallet with my $2 in it and thin little thing and put that down.
That's still my wallet.
Still like there's like I'm like doing the pat down here like that's all I got, and they're like what about that pocket, like I had forgotten, but they had noticed that there's a big bulge,
large bulge,
and so in Denver Dallas Davis's metal shop class, I took this thing out and dropped it down on the table. I was like, oh yeah. And that's when I'm like, Mr. Jackson, there's a lot of trouble. And Mr. Denver Dallas Davis's eyes got really big. And he's like, oh, and he looked at me like, you've done it now. And the other kids were like, whoa, he's in a big trouble now. And everybody was. But to be fair.
This wasn't even the first time that you did anything like this.
It was their bias that had created the whole thing. Their assumption of guilt.
You know that this story it's a psychological profile of you for your entire life.
I can't remember if this was before or after bringing the non-alcoholic beers to school. I think this is the thing that gave the idea for bringing non-alcoholic beer to school.
Probably.
Which was really funny because me and my friend had just a couple of these. We had to walk for, like, we realized at some point.
Nobody noticed. Nobody cared.
Nobody noticed. Like, we could have just brought beer to school and been drinking in the quad at lunch. Like, nobody's noticing. We had to, like, walk around to get noticed before, like, it became a thing. We had to try it, that one. That one, the first one was kind of innocent at the beginning. This one was like, we were trying. And it was like, we could just get away with this. Like, this is too easy.
Probably the beer, but at the time though, like if it was a green glass bottle, it might have looked. At the time, there were like green 7-Up bottles, and it might have just looked
like glass bottle. It was a glass bottle
but there were more glass bottles. But there were more glass bottles then, so like you would drink out. There were more sodas and other things. It was. I'm just saying, but yeah.
Yeah, it was just kind of.
But it wasn't catnip.
But. Every time you do one of these things, then there's an announcement at the school the next day. It's like, attention students, today we will be having, there'll be an event on the quad, blah, 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 and today's lunch will be this, and, catnip is no longer allowed on school premises. Like, there'll be these little taglines that people are like, what? What was that? What are they talking about catnip for? Apparently, you don't want to hear.
I did. So the thing that I did in high school was they had put in, we were in like farm country, and it was, I think this was my junior year. So it was like 91, maybe 91. Anyway, they were starting to put some rules into place where, you couldn't wear bandanas because bandanas signified that you were in a gang.
Yeah. Which is so funny because the Central Valley there turned into cartel land.
It did.
Not
absolutely. But I came to school one day. This is me. I'm, little Miss Anti-Authoritarian. I came to school in my lavender bandana wrapped around my hair. And I got called into the office for wearing a lavender bandana tied around my head. And they asked me why I was wearing it. And to hold my hair back. It's just for holding my hair back.
Yeah. So first of all, miss, you're getting it wrong. You have to choose either the red or the blue to be affiliated with the gang. You're doing it all wrong, and it's bad.
My parents got called. I got kicked out of school for a day, and they made an even firmer statement about no bandanas in the school.
Okay.
I succeeded. Like, you got catnip banned. I made sure that my little Central California country school allowed no bandanas. Especially not lavender ones, which I still have and I wear occasionally because I like it.
Okay, I gotta go.
I don't do anything like that anymore. I just do a podcast sometimes.
I gotta go.
I do too. It's nighttime and it's past sleeping. I don't know. I'm tired. Yeah.
Well, I don't even know what time it is over there, but let's see if it's a 4-hour show. 3-hour show. Oh my gosh, it's like 11 o'clock at night there.
Yeah, I'm tired. I've been stifling yawns for a little bit, and it was a very good energy week for me tonight. So I was like, but now I'm like, I'm gonna crash, and I just kicked my cat, and that wasn't nice. Okay. Oh, Cappy, you're okay. I love you. Yeah, she's fine. It wasn't hard. She still loves me. Good night, everyone. Good morning, Justin. Have a wonderful day. Have a great night. Sleep or be awake. Drink coffee or water or tea or other beverages, whatever you like. Stay healthy. Stay safe. Don't wear lavender bandanas in your high school. And don't bring a Ziploc baggie of catnip if that's not really allowed wherever you are. Everyone be safe. Do what's right. Do what is morally right. Be curious and be lucky. See you next week. Good night.